Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alfany. We have a lot of big news today, and probably the second or third chapter. We have something very interesting to point out about Stellar and another event that coincides with something that Stellar has recently done. We'll get to that a little bit later. Let's start here with a little bit of XRP news on the cryptobasic.com, and it's titled Forbes Spotlights Benefits of Ripple CBDC Platform and Palau stablecoin issuance. Now, anytime we get these big entities like Forbes, big media entities, it's always very good in my opinion. It brings a lot of new eyes. It legitimizes the project just a little bit more, and it shows that we're moving more to mass acceptance of cryptocurrencies. Now, let's read this little tidbit here. It says a recently published case study focusing on the central bank digital currency venture from Palau and Ripple Labs has underscored its key benefits. According to the case study featured on Forbes, Palau represented an economy that ideally needs a CBDC owing to its financial landscape. As a cash-based economy, the success or failure of any introduced CBDC can easily be visible and, as such, showcase what is possible or not among central banks aiming to introduce something similar. Now, it says here the key benefits Palau CBDC. Per the case study, financial inclusion is one of the significant benefits of the national stablecoin or CBDC project will bring to the Pacific Island nation. So obviously they're spreading out the possible use of this and then superimposing that on other key countries and areas, regions, however you want to put that, in the world where this same scenario could be deployed, obviously, right? The role of Ripple as a blockchain payments firm, Ripple Labs, has been innovating in several ways to enhance the current payment infrastructure concerning CBDCs. And that's what I'm talking about. That's key because they're trying to glue everything together. That's where the major money is. A lot of people, they're still under the idea that XRP itself has to be used as the CBDC. And it's like, no. Would that be great? Sure. Direct use? Sure. Yeah. And I think a lot of money in the world in the future, if everything goes according to plan, not financial advice, but a lot of money directly can and will move through XRP, just my humble opinion. But gluing everything together in this fragmented world is going to be much more valuable in just my humble opinion. Let's move on here. Let's move on here to this other article. Okay. And I believe I have another article that shows, let me see if I have it. Bear with me 1 minute. But yeah, I have an article later on that shows the very reason why they're going to need something to glue everything together. We're continuously getting this information in. You're reading it, you're seeing it for yourself. All right. But this article here is also from the cryptobasic.com and it's titled, Here are 20 key reasons to be bullish on XRP. I'm super bullish on XRP for a lot of reasons, probably many more than 20, but let's see what they're talking about here. It says Crypto Asset Guy, a popular influencer in the digital currency ecosystem, has revealed 20 reasons he's all sold on XRP. They wrote that a little strange. It says sold out on XRP. I'm like, what do you mean? You mean sold on the idea of XRP? It says one reason he said is that XRP doubles as the only, quote, digital asset in the US with legal clarity and which has been, quote, officially declared not a security. It says 20 reasons why I'm mega bullish on XRP. Number one, only digital asset in the US with legal clarity. Number two, only digital asset officially declared not a security. Number three, faster, cheaper, and greener than Bitcoin and Ethereum. It says, well, a lot of bank coins can say that, right? It says number four, no gas fees, no delays, no BS. I almost said that word there. Not family friendly word. Says number five, the XRP ledger is the most secure. Says for most digital assets, the need to determine their status as to whether they are security remains a vital hurdle in the United States. Good point. Very good point. The SEC has not been very clear in defining how to classify these assets that we know. We're going to skip a little piece here. I'm skipping a lot here. I'm trying to get to the crux of all of this. It says XRP benefiting from broader market sentiment. Says while most of the bullish attributes shared by the crypto asset guy are focused on XRP, some are hinged on general market sentiment. For instance, the influencer mentioned the potential of landing a Bitcoin spot ETF, within the next 5 months as one of his bases for staying positive on XRP. Yeah, once again, if Bitcoin takes off, just like in the last bull run, um, it will pull everything else up with it. That's just how it has traditionally worked. XRP will go up, XLM will go up because XRP went up, and XRP can go up when Bitcoin goes up. When Bitcoin and Ethereum is in there as well, right? So yeah, that moment is going to be huge. Look, there's going to be a lot of liquidity flooding into the crypto sphere whenever that occurs. So hopefully it occurs soon, and then we can have a little bit of fun, right? All right, so now let's move on to this article here. This is from newsbtc.com. I'm actually scrolling all the way down. It's titled XRP Price Retest Prelude to $2. You know, once again, I'm waiting on solid catalyst. All right. But let's read this a little bit here. We're going to scroll down to the section about the 1-day chart. It says for daily XRP/USD chart. This is from eGrag. eGrag's message was concise. Quote, XRP Army, don't miss the forest for the trees, unquote. I'm 100% focused. I'm 100% comfortable with the future possibilities of XRP. I think when institutional money comes in, it won't matter. It won't matter. You know, let's move on here. It says his analysis for this time frame focuses on the wicking, quote, wicking, unquote, range. Now, the reason I said what I was saying before, as I've given some more thought to it as I'm reading this little bit here, is now when the institutional money comes in, it will take over XRP. It will take over all of these different bank coins if they get involved with them. And I think that they will. The same way, if you look at all the articles being written on Bitcoin lately, I've said this before, they're all talking about BlackRock taking over Bitcoin. And it all began some weeks ago. We covered a few articles where BlackRock was shown buying up all the miners. Why wouldn't, if I'm a large company, why wouldn't I take over? And this is something that the Bitcoin community did not, I don't think they foresaw that happening. But I have an article somewhere. Let me see if I have it here. Let me see if I have it up here. Bear with me. Yeah, it says, it's from the Daily Hodl. It's in the later chapter. Arthur Hayes issues BlackRock warning. I'm going to actually click on it. Let's see if it'll pop up here. Arthur Hayes issues BlackRock warning, says multi-trillion-dollar giant may gain power to change Bitcoin. So now it's led up to this. So they were buying all these miners up to control Bitcoin, right? This is what the article said. You verify that for yourself. I don't hold Bitcoin. I'm not deep into the technology of Bitcoin, but this is that's what the article said. You can read them for yourself. And so now it's moved to this point here where they're talking about changing Bitcoin. I don't know how they would do that, but we'll get to the article later. But the way that they're trying to take over Bitcoin, that very same thing will happen to all other legit crypto projects, which means what in the end? That means there's a lot of potential capital that can flood into those particular projects. XRP, Quant, Stellar, possibly. And Bitcoin will have its day. All right. So anyway, that's why I said what I said. Let's get back to this article here. It says his analysis for this time frame focuses on the quote wicking unquote range of 38 cents to 47 cents, which he sees as the possible dip range if the broader market pressure persists. There's so much liquidity drain going on. There was another U.S. Treasury sell-off, right? So I'm assuming that they're going to try to bring people back. They might raise yield again. There's so much going on. Then also a lot of the liquidity drain from certain things going on around the world. A lot of people pull capital out of many different markets. Okay. And that's in combination with people who have been pulling money out of the markets to use for necessities. So you have all of these different factors coming in. Like I said, we're going to have to go through a tough time or two, just economically, globally. And so that's going to shake up crypto, just like it has its effect on stocks. It has its effect on commodities. It's no different. I see it across the board because I'm deep in all of these different markets. And there's another thing with a lot of people trying to make different moves. Well, I just covered an article on housing and stuff on the other channel. So people are looking for places to live. They're moving around. They're looking for better opportunities. So they're going to pull some liquidity for things like that as well. They have bills and stuff. prices continue to go up a little bit in different areas. So liquidity is going to get drained for that as well. People just don't have that kind of capital to play with anymore, right? So that's going to have an effect on things. So it doesn't surprise me at all what's going on right now. I don't think it surprises anybody on this channel for that matter. We've been keeping up with all of the different catalysts, positive and negative. And that's why that's important. So you can have that understanding when other people don't. You have the understanding of why something is occurring, how long it might persist for. It says, but for a bullish narrative to play out, the token needs to push beyond 51 cents, aiming for the 57-cent mark, which corresponds to the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. Okay. And it says here that targeting a 1,618 Fibonacci extension at $1.46. We'll leave off right there. I want to get to this Stellar news. I want to get to this Stellar article here. They made 2 posts, and it's very eye-opening what's going on at the same time that they made these posts. Now, I'm not back on Twitter yet. Just know that also. So don't message me on Twitter right now because I don't have access to that account. It's going to take me a little bit of time. I'm trying to get access back to my account. The account is there. I just don't have access to it. Okay. But I just did a Google search and, I get the stuff off of there. So from the Google search, says Stellar posted 4 hours ago and 1 day ago. This is from 4 hours ago. Product update today at Certora Inc. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Stellar Org have teamed up to boost at Soro Beneficial, the Stellar Network smart contract platform with cutting edge formal security verification, which is very similar to something that Quant was rolling out recently. You saw that? The Quant has this verification system for banks specifically. That's different. Banks specifically saying, hey, we're going to make everything much more secure. So check that out. But that's very interesting. But that's not what I was talking about when I said Stellar did these types of things here at the same time as something else. We'll get to that in a moment. Then they made another post, which is even more key. This one was from a day ago. It says 2 new wallets, plus 1 seamless integration. Pay close attention. Stellar, sneaky Stellar. They're cooking quietly. At least that's the way I feel. I'm not asking anyone to feel the same. It says more opportunities to safely store your funds. Right. Maybe I'm reading too much into that one little piece there. Safely store your funds. But then look at this here. Well, everything is strategic. And every cause has this effect. It says access global currencies. Keep that in mind as well. And avoid high network fees that we're not concerned with, right from the convenience of your phone. Explore the benefits of @Beans app and @Boss Money Africa. This is why I'm so glad that I stay up with global economics. All right. And this is why. Well, first of all, Africa has a lot of conflicts going on. There's a huge reshifting going on. But no, this article right here about Zimbabwe, right? So they've continued to go forward, right? This is the thing. You got to stay up to date on these things. They continue to go forward with their gold-backed currency. Now, what's been happening lately, the people have not taken to that gold currency the way that Zimbabwe thought they were going to do. So they've been constantly over the last few months, they've been pushing a little bit more to try to get the people out of the love that they have for like the dollar. There's a huge de-dollarization going on across the world. And let me tell you something right now, what's going to happen is, and I think with this huge push that they've been making over there with the gold-backed currencies and such, not to mention Stellar's also in, I can't remember the other country, but they're in another country that's deep and discovered record-breaking amounts of gold that could be mined. But if we have a global economic fiat collapse at some point, you have some sort of collapse with the US dollar, which is definitely possible. I got some articles coming up about something like that in the later chapter. But I'm not saying the dollar's going to zero. I'm not saying that. A lot of people just jump out the window and just believe that, like, they hear what they want to hear. No, I'm saying the dollar could be greatly diminished at some point. Yes, I do believe that. Could it power through? Sure. But does it look positioned as of now for a great diminishing. Yeah, it's being diminished every day. The U.S. is diminishing the value of the dollar. I've said that plenty of times. Have you looked at the charts to verify what I'm saying? Because you will see it yourself. And then the rest of the world is dumping dollars, right? So now take that and think about how delicious gold will be if banks collapse, if you have the a lot of the more powerful currencies like the dollar and the euro, which both of them are in massive trouble if they're greatly diminished. Imagine how much more delicious gold will be. Now, that's key when you think about floating the idea of a gold-backed digital currency as your local digital currency. Now, wait a minute. I think a lot of African nations will go this way. They're going to look, they're very, very smart. They're really advancing quickly. And I think because of their highlighting of, hey, these are our resources and we're going to take control back over those resources. I think a lot of them will back their digital assets with the value of their most rich commodity. It doesn't have to be gold. An ounce of gold, is worth this much versus whatever amount of oil, this much. And then you're not actually exchanging the physical value, the physical asset. So that's inconsequential. It's just about value. At some point, we're going to get to the raw truth of trade, which is value. We're trading value at that point, right? So now banks go down globally. They're all their financial systems are in dire straits because they all followed the West formula, and the West doesn't know what they're doing. They never did, and so their banks are in big trouble. This is why you heard UK banks in big trouble, Europe banks in big trouble, Japanese banks in big, but they all followed the same formula. You get what I'm saying? So if you're all following the leader and the leader falls into a hole, then you fall into a hole as well. Now, if this happens, things like that happen, those catalysts happen, gold will skyrocket. All those digital assets backed by gold will skyrocket. Then the people would definitely take a gold-backed digital currency over a dollar. You get where I'm going with this? So Stellar, circling back around to Stellar has been, maybe it's a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences. I'm just trying to be balanced because I know some people out there might believe in that. All right. And I try to be as fair as I could possibly be. But if that happens, well, let me put that aside. Stellar has been weaving its way into commodity rich regions for a long, long time. Am I to believe that that's by mistake? Now, they put out this facade of, well, we want to help the unbanked and, we want to help the little guy. But what is the truth of what Stellar has mainly been doing? Stellar has mainly been working with major entities, United Nations, Ukrainian Central Bank, the freaking World Economic Forum. This doesn't get bigger than that. These people control presidents. They control bank heads. Right? That's really what Stellar has been doing. So sometimes you got to not listen to what a person is saying. Watch what they do. So now I'm using that to back what I'm going to say now. Stellar wants the big money. They want the big money and the big wins. They want to make history like everyone else. And so, of course, there's no guarantees, but I'm looking at what's going on and I'm saying, wait a minute, they're going super heavy in Africa at a time where Africa is rapidly advancing and changing. And there's huge capital to be moved digitally out of and into Africa. And they're going to want it. They're going to want it. Africa loves distributed ledger technologies. And so listen, there's so much I could say. There's so much I can say, same thing Stellar's doing in Algorand in Latin America and Quant. Let me not forget Quant because of LAC chain. But okay, I'll say more of that on another time. I get a little too excited talking about Stellar and XLM. I want to go to this article here. This is from the dailyhodl.com. I wasn't going to cover any Chainlink today, but then I saw this article. I said, no, I got to cover this. This is huge in my humble opinion. I don't have any Chainlink, but I'm keeping my eye on them because they've been they've been doing a great job. Great job. Why would I not keep up with what's going on here? And yes, strategically, if I need to at some point, I will jump in at the right time. I think that the markets will go down a little bit further, that they possibly can. because there's just so many catalysts, right? It's going to go down a little bit. It's just like I said before, and now you see it going down. I told you liquidity drain. We've been covering the T-bill yields and the bond yields and such like that. And now you see the market's going down, right? I mean, so we're using logical data to determine where the markets are going to go. Now, that probably is going to continue. And I think things are going to get a little bit worse before they get better. Just my humble opinion. I could be wrong. And I would love to be wrong because I want us to play now. You get what I'm saying? But I also have to be realistic. So this article is from the dailyhodl.com and it's titled Sergey Nazarov says people will understand Chainlink when we power everything. If that's not a powerful statement, if that's not a bold statement, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. And they have to have a bang up team, a very cutting edge, great team in order to be able to work with an entity like Swift and float that idea and have Swift say, yeah, we're going to work with you. So they're serious business, serious. But let me read this little tidbit here. Let's see what they're talking about. It says blockchain Oracle Chainlink co-founder Sergey Nazarov thinks people won't have any difficulty understanding his decentralized computing platform in the future. In an interview with Quentin Francois on Young and Investing, Nazarov says he wants people to realize that his team is working on building a secure, reliable system that will be able to handle tens of trillions, unquote, of dollars in transaction value. What does that sound like Chainlink is becoming to you? Does it sound like they're becoming a bank coin to you? Let me know. It says he notes that developing the Chainlink ecosystem is both complex, time-consuming, as it must be done with certain security and reliability requirements. It says, quote, and they'll understand it when we power everything. I love this vision. I do. It says they'll definitely understand it then. I think there's a nuance where blockchains and Oracle networks are very different. And this is the thing we've tried to make clear, but haven't made fully clear. But I think as it gets more adopted, everyone will understand what it is. And then the other thing is blockchains are not Oracle networks. Oracle networks don't have a chain. And I think it's just a very different way of generating consensus that's also very necessary. Now, let me say this also. Listen, I'm deep in quant. I love quant. I think quant has one of the most brilliantly bright futures possible. But there's room for everybody. Well, there's only a few legit projects that connect everything together. There's only a few legit ones. But I think they all will be extremely successful. The ones like Quant, extremely successful. Chainlink, as of now, all the things we follow over the last 4 months, I think they're going to be extremely successful. And I'm waiting to see a whole lot more out of Flare, but I like Flare. I like the potentiality of Flare. But I'm waiting to see more out of them. As of now, Chainlink and Quant are far out front as far as being a connector platform. So now it says, quote, the fast case is more Silicon Valley Bank, more Credit Suisse type failures. Wow, he's telling the truth. Look at this. And he sounds like Alphanim. I've been telling you the banks are going to go down. And look at what he's saying. They're going to benefit from this. Let me continue on. This is more big monumental failures that may not be able to be muted by government intervention and which may lead to significant financial pain for society, significant political tension, significant international problems. He laying it on thick here. Holy smokes. Because the fundamental promises of the system are not sufficiently backed. And then the realization of those promises not being sufficiently backed is a painful realization that if it happens, and if it happens in a way that cannot be managed by the governments, will lead people to realize the fragility of the systems in which their value exists. I've been saying a similar thing. I think I was saying on the other channel in a video the other day that when all those bank runs pop off, they begin and the people with money gets locked up in there, they get bailed in or something like that. The people will realize, once again, it hasn't happened to that degree, but they will realize that the system has been highly flawed for a long time, and it was always risky, extremely risky. It's the same legacy system that they claim is not risky, and that the Fed says is absolutely fine. But this person here, this guy's telling everything. He's telling the people what's going on. It says, and at that point, a cryptographically guaranteed world, a verifiable web will be extremely attractive. Wow. So he's waiting on the fall. Just like I am. We have a lot in common. Okay. says it will be so attractive that anyone who doesn't cryptographically guarantee your economic relationship with them, anybody who can't verify for you how you can relate to your assets in the system, anyone who isn't a part of the verifiable web will be at a disadvantage. I love this too. Then they put at the end of this here, at the time of writing, Link is trading for $7.31. He says, end of quote, it'll be like not being on the internet. That is the fast case. Wow. Powerful article. Holy smokes. All right, Chainlink. Hey, you're definitely impressing me. I'll tell you that much. You definitely are. So now, I'm going to skip the JP Morgan article here to save a little bit of time. Let's get to this one here because I think it's more important, okay? And I want to read and see what they're talking about. This is from Watcher.Guru and it's titled BRICS to completely ditch the US dollar in 3 years. They're going to have to verify that for me. What source did they hear this from? It says the BRICS Bank. Oh, whoa. This is the BRICS. Let me not jump out the window. Let me finish reading. The BRICS Bank, commonly called the New Development Bank, NDB, officially announced a 3-year plan to completely end reliance on the US dollar. Whoa. Now, listen, look, saying that and doing is two different things. I know that. That is a bold statement. Holy smokes. What is going on, folks? We're living through some crazy times. I'll tell you that much. Let me keep reading. The 3-year de-dollarization initiative will lead to BRICS settling trade in local currencies and not the US dollar. The NDB is finding alternative ways to replace the US dollar from dominating the global financial sector. They're speeding up the timeline. Holy, this is unbelievable. In my humble opinion, I mean, you don't have to feel the same, but times are rapidly changing. NDB will provide details to BRICS leaders highlighting the means to diminish transactions made in US dollar. We got to get our hands on that document whenever they put it out. I want to see that document. I know you do as well. We need to see what these plans are. It says the NDB has already outlined its first idea of lending loans to other developing countries in local currencies. The bank suggested to stop lending loans in the US dollar. I've seen some of that. I have an article here coming up about that. Well, something like that. It says, and limit the number of settlements in USD. The move adds pressure on the dollar, making it demand to decrease a smaller margin. However, the 3-year de-dollarization initiative could add further blows to the prospects of the US dollar. The NDB would provide guidelines to boost the usage of local currencies and strengthen the native economy of BRICS nations. Whoa. We'll see if they can pull it off. We will see. We'll see. New financial system will definitely benefit from this. But at the same time, to keep things balanced, a lot of people who are not prepared, if this does occur, and if it greatly diminishes the US dollar, which, look, if all those dollars come back home and people aren't using the dollar as much as they used to, then doesn't that affect inflation? Obviously, this is exactly why you have high interest rates right now to pull money out the economy. But if those dollars come back home, there's way too much, right? And so that would affect inflation dramatically. You would have, look, correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I'm thinking from the information that I know. But that theoretically, I would think would create a inflationary environment, the possibility of such. And like I said, there's no guarantee they could even pull this off, but we're just going to keep an eye on it for sure. All right. So we're going to move on to this article here. Trying to get through all the articles in a timely fashion today. We're going to run right through this one quickly because I already touched on it a little bit. From the dailyhodl.com, and it's titled Arthur Hayes issues BlackRock warning, says multi-trillion-dollar giant may gain power to change Bitcoin. What do they mean by it? Change Bitcoin. BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes warns that asset management giant BlackRock's entry into Bitcoin space could change, quote, fundamentally change, unquote, the top crypto asset. In a new interview with Tom Bilyeu, Hayes acknowledges that while he and other traders are cheering on the possibility of a spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund ETF and all the money such a product is likely to bring into the crypto market, he's also concerned about the potential influence it will give to traditional finance. Yeah, they're going to take it over. And it's just like, it's something I don't like to speak about a lot, but because I know that I'm trying to keep the good energies up, especially for like Bitcoin. A lot of people that I care about have a lot of Bitcoin. I'm hoping Bitcoin will do well for their sake. I don't have any Bitcoin, so that's the only dog I have in the fight. Is that one aspect? But I'm hoping that they don't take over Bitcoin and then use it as their own personal piggy bank. You get what I'm saying? Like their own personal coin, because they can do that. They're buying up all the miners, like a great deal of miners. They could take over Bitcoin and rip it right out the hands of the people, I would think. But let me see if this is what they're saying. And maybe I'm thinking wrong. Maybe that can't happen. I don't know. It says, quote, will so much value and currency be owned by these centralized asset managers who are essentially arms of the TradFi traditional finance ecosystem that the underlying fundamentals of what Bitcoin is, the privacy will also be altered? Will a BlackRock support through maybe ownership in large mining companies, different sorts of improvement protocols detract from the immutability of the money, or the censorship resistance, or the decentralization? It will definitely be centralized when they get involved. They'll control it, right? They can control that price goes up, goes down. They can, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission delayed decisions. Could they go into that, a little bit of that? All right, so now let's move on here. I want to say I have an article here. China strikes deal with Sri Lanka, catching IMF off guard. So yeah, we're going to cover. Why not cover that? We'll end off with this one here because I want to show that the IMF, once again, I covered something like this recently where it showed the IMF is not in control. Countries are not listening to them. They're not going to listen to them on a new financial system either. The IMF, the Western powers, SWIFT, they're losing power rapidly. It's becoming a multipolar world. They will still have their a dominant place in the world. It just will not be what once was, which is great for the new financial system. It says here, China, it's from Bloomberg.com. It says China strikes debt deal with Sri Lanka, catching the IMF off guard. China reached a tentative debt agreement with Sri Lanka, front-running separate talks with the International Monetary Fund, and other creditors are holding with the South Asia nation and catching them by surprise. The deal between Export-Import Bank of China and Sri Lanka was reached late last month, China's foreign ministry said Tuesday, without providing details of the pact. The IMF Paris Club members, including Japan and Sri Lanka, the deal was reached late last month, China's foreign ministry said Tuesday, without providing details of the pact. Oh, sorry about that. My apologies. I've read that part twice. It says other lenders like India are expected to hold talks this week in Morocco on a debt restructuring plan. China, which isn't part of that official group, even though it's one of Sri Lanka's biggest creditors, has been pursuing bilateral negotiations with the South Asian nation instead. So the IMF, as we know, they lend money to a lot of countries. Then they use it as a control mechanism. They tell them what to do a lot. We've covered that for quite some time. This changes the dynamics greatly in the world. The power dynamics is going to get very interesting quickly. A lot of people are not listening to the Western authority figures anymore. So we'll just keep an eye on that. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the Monday.